Howdy, Larken Rose here. This is my third attempt to record this particular video. Gonna see if I can do it without getting too riled up or too long-winded. I believe it was Eleanor Roosevelt who's quoted to have said, "Small minds discuss people, average minds discuss events, and intelligent minds discuss ideas." Okay, there's definitely truth to that, regardless of who said it. And politicians love manipulating small minds. And right now we have a shining example of that. So you have the Trump administration, and it's making a big show of going after those corrupt Democrats and going after particular instances of, oh, they spent this many $1 million on that thing over there, and there was this fraud over here, and how did that politician get so much money? And some of them they just made up, and some of them are lying about. But some of them are actually true. They're pointing out a bunch of, oh, those horrible, corrupt Democrats doing horrible things. If you want to bash Schumer or Pelosi or Hillary or a bunch of those crooks, yep, they're absolutely evil, power-happy slimeballs. So that's not my objection here. It's that if your resentment of certain individuals can be used to trick you into forgetting about the ideas and just focusing on, we have to go after this guy, we have to go after this judge for trying to overrule, we have to go after these politicians who passed this, we have to go after the Bidens for doing these pardons, we have to go after Hunter Biden, we have to go after all these individual people. And the discussion of actual ideas is out the window. There's the general meaningless fluff of make America great again, which doesn't mean anything. It's just noise. There is no actual idea involved. But if they can get you focused on people you should be scared of, or people you should hate, or people you should want revenge on, then you're not going to notice the fact that they view you and treat you as livestock just as much as Biden did, or Kamala, or the Clintons, or the Bushes, or the Go Back Forever. They all view you as livestock and will continue to treat you as livestock. But if Trump and his band of merry puppets can put on a show to make you think, well, he's really going after those individuals that we don't like, he can make you just forget about what's still being done to you. Is the IRS still there? Yeah. Is the income tax still there? Yeah. Are they doing away with it? No. Are they going to say they intend to? Yeah. Are they ever going to? No. While they say they intend to do away with that, and then the story changes there. Well, now we intend to make it so nobody who makes under $150,000 has to pay taxes. Like, that's never going to happen either. They can make all these promises. Meanwhile, what actually happened is Trump raised your taxes by way of tariffs. And if you don't understand that U.S. tariffs are taxes on Americans, maybe you'll have to go watch somebody else's video about that. So what he actually did was increase taxes. And talking about all this waste, look at this particular piece of waste, and this money spent over there. So that people look at that and get all huffy about that. They're not thinking about ideas, and they're perfectly justified to get huffy about the fact that all these things that we're being forced to pay for through our taxes, and this long list of really stupid, bogus, corrupt stuff. So I'm not saying you shouldn't be upset. I'm saying that comes nowhere near the root of the problem. That has nothing to do with an idea. That's just pointing out, look at this corruption. So, and we have a perfect example there. Because the Doge circus, who keeps misrepresenting things and lying about stuff, but they are pointing out corruption here and there and waste. Okay, but then what actually happened? Then Trump pushed, and they all voted for a continuing resolution, which means the federal government keeps spending at the levels it was spending during the Biden presidency. And the one guy in Congress who said, I don't think we should. Aren't we actually going to cut things for all the show you've been putting on? And not only, Trump didn't just ignore him, he went after him and said, we have to get him out of office, because he didn't kowtow to the agenda of big spending, big taxing. tax and spend liberals disguised as Republicans, because that's what Trump is. That's what he's always been. So he didn't even just ignore it. He had to go after the one guy who said, we're still like spending ridiculous amounts of money. What was all that show? But Trump and his fellow puppets are hoping you're going to focus on the show. Oh, they're talking about arresting this guy over there for that. And this guy, okay, what are the principles behind that? And another fine example, it's kind of a sickening example, is they put on a big show. Here we are hauling these criminals and gang members and terrorists and whatever else. We're hauling them off to Guantanamo. Yeah, law and order. Yeah, those evil people. Okay, they're evil people. You know they're evil people. Why? Because politicians said so. That's the test now? If politicians say somebody's evil, you don't require evidence or a trial or due process. Just if Trump tells you they're really bad people, then you'll applaud as you watch them whisked off to literally a torture camp. You're okay with that in principle? Oh, I forgot. You don't have principles. You just think about people you hate. Scary Mexicans coming across the border. Yeah, let's be scared of them and hate them and cheer for authoritarian violence to be used against them. Well, what if you actually look and find out a lot of the authoritarian violence is being used against nonviolent people who didn't threaten or harm anybody, which it is. No, Trump told us who to hate. He told us who to be scared of. He told us who they're going after. And it's the Democrats. And you can see Trumpites faithfully spout this small-minded bullshit every time you bring up an actual principle. Like, so you whisked off a bunch of people who weren't convicted of anything. There was no trial. There was no due process. He just said, oh, they're gang members or something. And by the way, there's already stories coming out about individual people in there that weren't gang members. They just got whisked off. But as long as Trump can tell you which people to hate, you can't even process actual principles. And I see, the bootlickers at Fox News doing exactly this. Oh, how dare anybody question something that's completely unconstitutional, completely arbitrary, completely illegal for those of you who care about such things. But it doesn't matter to most Trump supporters because they are so focused in on who they hate and who they want revenge on. Now, to be clear, a bunch of those people they hate and want revenge on are evil pieces of shit. I'm not saying the Democratic politicians, oh, they mean well and they're lovely. No, they're horrible, corrupt pieces of shit. Just like Trump, just like the Republicans. So it's not a matter of, no, you should be defending them. It's that instead of focusing on these individual little drama professional wrestling performances, you should have enough of a brain to be able to think about ideas and apply principles, especially if you call yourself a conservative. Do you not remember about 5 seconds ago when the federal government was calling you a domestic terrorist? If you talked about, yeah, maybe this shouldn't be that way and we don't like government doing it. They were doing that to you. And then today, you're cheering at the idea of authoritarian psychos dragging people away just based on, well, they say they're bad. We don't get any evidence. We don't get any proof. There's no trial. There's no record. There's no due process. They were never even told what they were charged with because they weren't charged with anything. They were just arrested and sent off to a torture camp in a place where it's a lot easier to torture people and get away with it. Guantanamo. Suddenly you're okay with that? Well, it's only happening to those people, not me. You're an idiot. If you don't recognize the principle and advocate due process for everybody, presumption of innocence for everybody, not being forced to testify against yourself for everybody, the right to a trial by a jury of your peers for everybody. If you're so quick to throw all those principles out the window because you don't have any principles, the moment somebody on your team tells you it's okay to hate these people, it's okay to hate those people, even if some of those people are total scumbags. There's a reason the principle that is there, and a reason that for everybody there's supposed to be these processes that you go through instead of just, well, a guy in power said he's bad, so let's burn him at the stake. Have you ever read a history book? Do you not know how often that's been used to target anybody who has a dissenting voice? And by the way, Trump's being pretty damn obvious about that now. That if you criticize the warmongering fucking psychopaths running the Israeli government who just committed mass murder, I mean, that's nothing new, but they just murdered a lot of people. That just happened. Meanwhile, Trump is giving them lots and lots of money and promises of support and is threatening to cage you if you engage in anti-Semitic speech. And by anti-Semitic, he means critical of Israel. Because the people getting murdered by the Israeli government right now are Semitic people too. And the principle is so lost on so many doofus conservatives who forgot everything about the principles they pretend to believe in when it's done the other way around. But they'll focus on people they hate, and they just love to see those people getting punished. And again, some of those people are scumbags, and I don't care if they get punished. Schumer's an absolute piece of crap. Pelosi's an absolute piece of crap. Biden's an absolute piece of crap. Trump's also an absolute piece of crap. But imagine you're on a slave plantation. I'll end with this analogy. And you've been brutalized, you've been enslaved, you're robbed and you're controlled, and all these nasty things have been done to you all along. And then along comes a new manager with a new overseer. And he's out there and he's preaching at you about how horrible it was, the way you were treated before. How brutal and nasty that old overseer was. And we're going to make a point to make an example of that old overseer. We're going to take that old overseer out to the tree. We're going to whip him. We're going to show him. We're going to punish him for the evil deeds he's done. Now, a lot of small-minded people would go, yay, that's awesome. And only somebody capable of thinking of ideas and principles would go, okay, are we still going to be slaves afterwards? Like, are you here to set us free or just punish the old master and then be the new master? Because that's not an improvement. We're still slaves. And that is exactly what the Republican Party always does. Whether without Trump, it's what the Democrat Party always does. They come along and they point out the evils of the other side, which is two faces of the one ruling class. But they don't undo it. You don't get freedom. You're still a slave. They still view you as livestock and will treat you as livestock. And I'll say this again, if you actually believe that Trump wants to do away with the income tax, then just openly, publicly stop paying it and let him know, we know you're on our side, Mr. Trump, so we know that if we just stop paying, you don't even need the help of Congress to pardon all of us. In fact, apparently you can pardon us ahead of time. Just write a blanket pardon. Anybody convicted of federal tax crimes, not paying, not filing, whatever, just pardon us all. We know you're on our side. We know those meanies in Congress are going to try to stop, but we know you're really against the income tax. No, he's not. He's just another plantation manager who views you as livestock. And it's so sad to watch. I mean, it's sad enough to watch supposed conservatives fall for the thing of, well, as long as we're like whipping the people we hate. Okay, that doesn't change anything. Even if they deserve it, even if they're absolute slimeballs and they get in trouble, okay, I'm fine. But if that's your focus, and that's all you need from the new master, he knows he can keep on being a master. He can keep on treating you like livestock. As long as you're all excited about, oh, he's going to hurt those people that I don't like. And he's going to keep robbing and dominating you, too. And to watch all these small minds still tricked into focusing on people. Trump's going to save us, and Biden's horrible, and Kamala's... That's why you see people respond when I say this is unprincipled authoritarian crap. Oh, so I guess you like Biden? Because they can't comprehend anything outside of worship that crook or worship that crook, because they're small-minded idiots who can't grasp ideas and principles. They're just deciding between people which master they want to bow to, and that's all. And that's what Trump supporters are now at this point, because the open warmongering is just ridiculous. The open authoritarianism, the complete disregard for the First Amendment, 4th, 5th, 9th, 10th, basically all of them, that Trump's showing, and they still make excuses for it because, yeah, but he's owning the libtards. He's owning you, dumbass, and he's literally owning you. Because he's still part of the gang that claims the right to decide how much of what you earn they're going to let you keep. That is called somebody else owning you. If somebody else gets to decide how much of the fruits of your labor you get to keep and how much they're going to steal, tax, they view you as their property. Donald Trump views you as his property and the property of all the other political parasites left and right. And if you're so gung-ho and rah about, but they're going after that corrupt guy, who cares? You're still livestock. And if you back up and look at the principles, you'll realize Trump is every bit as anti-freedom and pro-authoritarian arbitrary power as Biden was, or Kamala, or Obama, or Clinton, or Bush, or any of the rest of them. When it comes to ideas and philosophy, Trump is absolutely 100% the enemy of freedom. And too many supposed conservatives who think they're pro-freedom are too stupid to notice because they're so focused with their little small-minded attention on the individuals they want revenge on. And the individuals that they're going to go rah because now they're in office. That they don't back up and say, what's actually happening? The Epstein files, okay, where did they go? They just vanished. They put on a show and they're gone. The JFK files, well, mostly that's kind of nothing. There are bits and pieces coming out that most people knew already. Okay, at least that's sort of something. Ending the Federal Reserve. Hadn't said a word about it in years, because never going to do that. His followers can imagine that he's against that game. He's not. Both times he was elected, he appointed a bunch of puppets of our fraudulent financial system and the Federal Reserve and all that into positions of power. If you look at his ideas, he's another slave master. And if you're so focused on revenge against your last slave master that you don't notice you're still being whipped, you're going to be whipped forever. And they're just going to take turns treating you like crap. And every time you're going to cheer for the new abuser as long as he says mean things about the abuser before him. Is that all it takes? Conservatives? Republicans? That all it takes for you to throw any hint of freedom and principle out the window? Heck with due process. Heck with freedom of speech. Just heck with all of that as long as the guy we worship is on the throne. It's pathetic to watch. It's just as pathetic as people voting for Biden when he's demented and couldn't form a complete sentence. This might even be worse because Trump can form a complete sentence, and what he expresses is absolutely a dictatorial mindset. That anybody who opposes him having control and him getting his way in absolutely everything he wants, it's got to be illegal. They're domestic terrorists. You're cheering for the people you pretend to hate, for their mirror image, just exactly the same, and you're not even noticing because you're a bunch of small-minded twits falling for professional wrestling. And it's kind of sad to watch when you people pretend that you give a crap about freedom. Nobody who gives a crap about freedom still supports Trump. Nobody.